Hello guys, welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this message, it comes from a very long voice note that I received from our dear sister. So the translation of that voice note reads like this. After she had given me, I then went next door to that woman who had taken me to her pastor, and I told her what the pastor had told me to do over the phone and everything that I was supposed to do. When I went next door, I found that lady who then invited me to her bedroom because she was sitting outside when I had arrived at their house. She told me that we needed to speak, but in a place where we could be all by ourselves. So we entered into the main house. Then I followed her to her bedroom. Then she locked the bedroom because she says that her kids were one of those kids whereby they can just come banging her door. So she wanted us to talk in peace. It seemed as if there was something big that she wanted us to do. Then my brother, without any warning at all, she then started stripping herself naked, and then she took this other big metallic dish. Then she poured some water that was inside a bucket. Then she started to bath right there, my brother. This was quite an odd behavior because in this house, they really had a nice bathroom. So I could not understand why she never wanted to use the bathroom. She said that she was that kind of a woman who does not enjoy using the bathtub. Rather, she enjoys bathing in one of those big metallic dishes. So after she started bathing, this really made me to feel very uncomfortable because as for me, I am someone who is a reserved person, and when she got naked right in front of me, it made me to feel very uncomfortable. As she was bathing, I noticed that she had a tattoo on her buttocks, but this tattoo, it was on the left side of her buttocks, and this tattoo was cleverly drawn such that the head of the snake could not be seen if her legs were closed. She finished bathing, then she wore a black silk night dress, even though it was during the day, but I don't know why she chose to wear that black silk night dress. After that, she told me that she had been told by the pastor to go on a dry fast. That is why she was not eating with the rest of her family when I had found her sitting outside with her family members, because she was supposed to go on this other road trip because there was blood that was immediately needed. This is the thing with these people, my brother. They do not have any reservation when they are speaking with you. Out of the blue, she casually mentioned that there was blood that was needed immediately, as if I was part and I knew everything that was going on. I was still trying to learn everything, and here I was. This woman was now telling me that there was blood that was immediately needed, and that is how I joined into Satanism without being told that this thing that we are doing, it is Satanism. Things were just being done right there in front of me without any explanation or what. Like when she said there is blood that is needed, she didn't say who was in need of this blood, who was supposed to go and collect this blood. Then she just briefly mentioned that she was going to be rushed to Shurugi and get into a certain car, and this car, according to her, she said, I have to get on this car in Shurugwi because there is a man that will be traveling from Zhishavane. So it seems as if this man who was going to be trapped in this car did not even know that the person who is going to give him the lift was a Satanist also, because she said that she had to catch the car somewhere between Zhishavane and Shurugwi so that this man cannot reach his destination. If they leave him to reach his destination, then you will be able to meet the man who was going to bless him and change the fortunes of his life. When she refused to give me the full details to this story, which was still a little bit confusing me at that time, I then stopped bothering her because she was such a woman who was very short-tempered, who didn't want to be asked a lot of questions. There is that demonic temper that she had. So I then told her why I was at her place. She then said, "Why are you worried about finding a piece of clothing to cut when you are wearing your auntie's African wrap skirt?" We then spread that wrap skirt on her bed. Then we started to search for the perfect place to cut so that by the time that I will give my auntie back her wrapping skirt, she will not even notice that there was a little piece that was missing. That is when I called the pastor, who started praying whilst we had put him on the loudspeaker. The way that he prayed, my brother, he was actually using Bible verses to cast spells on my mother's sister. As he was praying, we felt his presence in the room as if he was standing with us. Then I started to come back to my senses at the time that I started to feel his presence, and I asked myself, what kind of Christianity is this? Who are these people? As I was busy asking myself, I then heard him telling that woman to place her hands on my head. He spoke through the loudspeaker. Then she started to act as if she was possessed. Then she started speaking in different tongues. My brother, some of these tongues that people are so happy to speak, I wish they knew from where they come from. If you speak in tongues that no one can interpret, I feel sad for you, and I feel sad to say that they might be inspired by demons, because this didn't take me long to learn those demonic tongues. It's like this is their grade R for a Satanist, to learn first the demonic tongues, then the rest is just learning to twist the Bible so as to suit your particular interest at that time. As that woman was busy praying for me, as she was speaking in her tongues, I saw a stomach opening as we were caught in a vision. I could not move, I could not do anything, for if I could move, I would have stood up and ran away. But at that moment, I was caught up in that vision, and I could not even move any limb on my body. Her stomach opened, and out of her stomach came a crawling creature. This creature that crawled from her stomach, it was in form of a spider, and painfully that spider then proceeded to enter into my body, and it entered into my body through my nose, and this was quite painful. And the most painful part about it, I could not even let out a sound. I was screaming, but the way that I was screaming, it was as if I was put on mute. No sound came out of my mouth, and it was really painful. As she had been praying for me, the moment we caught up into the vision, I then collapsed because of the energy that was coming out of here and the trauma of seeing your stomach being wide open and a spider entering into my body. That spider that had entered into my body entered into my heart. I could actually feel it moving around my head as if it was following a vein that leads to my heart. Then it painfully entered into my heart. From that time, it was like something had snapped in my mind when that spider was running around in my brain, because I felt such hatred for no particular reason, and this was no normal hate that I was feeling at that time. The hatred that I was feeling was making my blood to boil, and I wanted the hatred that I was feeling to leave my body, because hate is like an energy that has a negative impact on your being. So I was feeling sick of the hatred that I was feeling in my body. Then that woman said that I was supposed to channel my hatred, because what I was doing is that I was kneeling down and I was trying to vomit because I felt such a sharp pain in my stomach. She walked to the place where I was kneeling trying to vomit. Then she just said, "You are supposed to channel your hatred. You are not supposed to force the hatred out of you. Try to channel towards someone else." At that time, my brother, I could not think of another person that I hated so much. The only person that I thought of was my auntie. And I said, yes, I hate my auntie because she is so clever. She must die. At that time, I didn't even meant the words that I was saying, but it was because I was feeling such a sharp pain in my stomach. So I just wanted that spider to stop moving in my heart because it was causing so much pain in my body. So I just said, I hate you, auntie, because you tried to be so much clever. So you must die. And the pastor asked me again if it was my wish to have my auntie sacrificed. And I said, yes, she needs to die. But it is only now that I can see that it was never my wish for her to die. But the pastor acted up as if they were following my will when he asked me if I was willing for my auntie to die. Yet he was the puppet master who was hiding behind the curtains. After the prayer, that lady told me to sit in the corner of her bedroom and to sit cross-legged. So I went into the corner and I did as such. Her bed had a compartment which was like a storage place. So when she opened that compartment that was underneath her bed, then she took out a knife and she gave me the knife, which had some designs. But when I looked at those designs, they were so satanic. She then said at me, look at the other side. So I looked at the other side. After that, I saw her holding a black clay pot. From where this black clay pot had came from, I don't even know. It was like the black clay pot suddenly magically just appeared in her arms. She placed it in front of me and showed me how to cast the spell on my auntie as I was sitting there cross-legged in the corner of her bedroom. Whilst she watched me, I then took the knife and I started to stab inside the pot as she was instructing me, as if I was stabbing my auntie. She said that I was supposed to visualize my auntie being trapped inside that clay pot and I was supposed to stab her mercilessly. I kept on stabbing the air that was inside the clay pot. Then I started to speak angrily as I was stabbing and I said, you mentioning my aunt's name, you think you are very clever. So you think you are very clever. All the time I was busy stabbing whatever that was in that black clay pot. And I said, why did you rush to try to expose my pastor? What was meant for my mother is now meant for you, my auntie. The knife that was meant for my mother is now meant for you. My brother, I was under demonic possession. I kept on stabbing whatever that was inside the clay pot because I started to feel that now when I was stabbing inside the clay pot, it was no longer air that I was stabbing, but there was something that was really stiff that was in there, but I could not see because inside that clay pot there was so much darkness and I was hissing as if like I was a snake. I started to see blood appearing in the clay pot and that lady rushed to see. Then she said, enough, it is enough, for it is done. Then she stopped me from stabbing whatever that thing that had appeared in that black clay pot. The blood then started to fill the clay pot until we then saw the pastor's face. The pastor's face, my brother, suddenly appeared on the wall. And he said, now bend the piece of clothing that I was holding in another hand. Then he said that after you have bent it, I want you to throw it into the blood whilst it is still burning. Then the pastor's face that had appeared on the walls mysteriously disappeared. I thought that maybe when he told me that I was supposed to throw that piece of cloth that I had when it was burning, it was to make the fire to stop burning. But no, my brother, when I threw that piece of cloth that was burning, the fire kept on burning as it sank into the blood. Then that fire, as it was burning, it consumed the blood that had filled up the clay pot. When the fire died down, that lady took a knife and the clay pot just vanished. She then told me that I had to return back home since she wanted to sleep because she still had a journey of her own. After we had been removed from that vision, that is when I started looking around, wondering what exactly had happened in that room. But I saw that the floor was squeaky clean and there was no blood anywhere. That lady just looked at me and she said, some of the things that happen in the spirit, you are still too young to understand, but one day you will understand. It is only that I do not have the time. Very soon, for I'll be removed from this world. I didn't even understand what she meant when she said that very soon I'll be removed from this world. When I returned back home, I found my auntie in bed saying that she was feeling a sharp pain on her back. So most of the people, they do experience this pain. It's like you feel like there is something that will be clamping any part of your body, mostly the back and the waist area. If you have ever had that feeling of like something is clamping your waist area, in most cases, your enemies will be busy stabbing you in the spiritual realm or just grabbing you spiritually in a very painful way. In our language, we call it bio. Then in English, they just say that some sharp bodily pains. So in the spiritual realm, there will be someone who will be busy stabbing you in a very painful way. When I left that woman's house, I then went home, but I was feeling so exhausted. But all of that exhaustion left me the moment that I found my auntie in bed. There was something that was happening to my auntie. The bed in which she was sleeping in was soaking wet, even though it was not on a very hot day. But at that time, she was still able to talk. All she said was, please take me home. Please take me home, so that by the time that I will die, I'll be close to my mother. Everyone was afraid that she was now carrying the virus. So my mother agreed and asked my brother to come and pick her up so that he can return her back to the village. But along the way to our grandmother's house in the village, my auntie then died at the back of the car. Spiritually, I was there to witness the death, even though my brother and his wife did not even sense my presence, but I was there with them in the car when my auntie passed away. Dear listeners, right there was a message that I received as a WhatsApp voice note. If you have any story that you want to share with us, please do not hesitate to contact us.